Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Marcus from Team Takeover, and I kind of just wanted to do a five-part series, and it's kind of like my announcement return to the channel. I know I haven't been there for a while, but I have just been so focused on Nats and school and life and work and all this other stuff. But after Nats, I have this huge drive to make 2019 basically my breakout year on the competitive scene for this game. And Nats was just such a great event, so I wanted to cap Nats off and kind of do a recap of that through a 5 to 6 part video series describing my Nats experience and kind of just doing discussion videos about what Nats was. So without further ado, let's get into it, guys. I'm going to start off with my deck profile and do like a little bit of discussion along the way. So, you're seeing this right. I played Cell at Nats, Cell Leader. And actually, this guy's actually absolutely insane. And I'll kind of be able to elaborate more in my part 2 discussion video about the deck profile. Part 1 just gonna basically be the deck profile. So Cell Leader, what he does is on this side, you can put a card, filter underneath, pop card, draw 2 to awaken at 4 less life. This side's absurd. Put a card underneath, draw 2 cards. So he doesn't have to attack to get any advantage. And then he can remove 2 cards that are underneath him, put to the drop area to pop a card on the board, which is just really, really absurd. This side's 3 or less. This side has no cost. And I'll get into the rest of the deck profile for you. So as you can probably imagine, we're playing Cell. So we play 4 Perfect Force Cell. This is the key card to start the deck strategy. You need to only resolve this one time, which is actually can be said way better for androids or any other deck. Most decks have to resolve multiple cell chains. This variant does not, and I'll get into that later with some of the Super 17 stuff. So this card's absurd. I played it multiple times. Actually, it's not hard to play 2 to 3 times in a game, but you only really need to resolve it once, and that's just enough. Evolving Lifeform Cell. This card's also great. It's no longer a brick in the deck because we play Cell's Birth. And that's the advantage. One of the advantages of being able to play the leader. And you get to cast this 5-drop for 3, which is absurd. Growing Evil Lifeform Cell. Honestly, I like this card a lot. But the only downside to him is the amount of hand advantage you invest early unless you're playing against the Droid Mirror. And then on to our 17s and 18s, we play 2 Deadly Defender, Dreadful Duo 18. You want crit over any other 18 unless you're playing Deadly Defender. Deadly Defender is best against Storm, and crit 18 is good against about not giving your opponent advantage back. So that's pretty much that. Deadly Defender, Android 18. This card is just nuts, okay? Brawly players rip if this card hits the board. And also, this card's really good about keeping Storm in check. Basically, this card coupled with King Vegeta's Surprise Attack will shut down Storm for an entire turn. So, that's pretty good. And then, I'm going to scoot this aside, start a new pile, because this is where the spice of the deck hits. 2 Super 17 Cell Absorbed. This card is the end of everybody. It's the finisher of the deck. It's the way the deck truly gets its advantage. So Super 17 Cell Absorbed. It has Deflect, Dual Attack Critical, Auto Sparking 10. If you have 10 cards in your drop area, when this card attacks, your opponent chooses 2 cards and places them in the drop area. This is so insane because basically at turn 3, you can Cell Chain, and there are so many dangerous things about that Cell Chain. So for example, if they remove the Cell Chain, they just put 4 to 5 cards in your drop area, depending on if they'd like Demon Sword and Emit it, which sets us up. Cell Leader sets us up. They awaken you, 2 cards, go away, sets you up. This card gets set up so fast. By turn 5, if they have you've not given them any extra cards, you've not attacked, you've not had to be aggressive for X amount of reasons, this card will end the game on the spot. Because if they do not Mafuba it, they will die to it. Because basically they will have no cards by the end of that turn. Being 20k critical and discarding 2 cards, basically the math plays out like this. If you swing the card and then you dump 2 cards, the critical says they either combo over to not take said damage or they take said damage. If they take said damage, the cards remaining in their hand will probably be gone, because if you swing again, they lose 2 cards. There are multiple people who negated, lost 2 cards, had 2 cards left. Swing again. You take the damage, you lose the cards. So that's pretty absurd. The math on Nimbus is insane, because if you swing with this card and they Nimbus it, they minus themselves 2 cards, and then they minus themselves 2 cards. Then you swing again, and then they minus themselves 2 cards, and if they don't want to take it, they have to invest 2 5Ks or 10K, another card. Absurd. This card's nuts. This card is basically like Demigra on steroids in this deck. I can't express how good of a card this is. And I was obviously not the only one on this. Danny Hype was. There were several other really big name pro players who were like, Super 17's Cup nuts. And so I'll do more about deck interaction and kind of where the deck was in comparison to the rest of the field in video number 2. So without further ado, let's continue to get on with it. Super 17 to Further Heights. This card's great. It's got Barrier and Deflect. And auto, when you play this card, you can pop a card, no specified cost or anything like that. So it can be a 10 drop, it can be a 1 drop. It's really good for that aspect. And then you can Union Absorb for 4 by putting a cell underneath it to put a Super 17 from your deck or drop area. And the cell absorbs, you can absorb the cell from the hand or drop area. Insane. So I can take a cell, after you pop my cell, you set this card up. It's just absolutely nuts. We played 1 Hellfighter, 17 Evil Revived. In testing, this card was bricky at 2, so I cut it to 1, and it worked out really good. I might mess with some other ratios and try to focus more on the Super 17 engine, just because that card just felt so powerful when it resolved. But also at the same time, Hellfighter can also Union Absorb. So it's a 3-drop that has Barrier and Union Absorb. You can put a 17 from your hand or drop area underneath to play a Super 17 to Further Heights from the deck or drop area. Insane. Absolutely nuts. 2 Limitless Energy Android 17s. I know playing a 4-drop seems like it's a little bit meh right now, but honestly, I wanted to play this card in case U7 was a thing. I needed a blocker with Barrier. It removed the card, which is also nice. And at 4 energy, it's very possible for me to actually play this card and it not hurt me if I've crippled them with Cell Chain on turn 3. So that's a thing. And then Dreadful Duo Android 17. This was the normal 17 that we played. Again, same reason you play the crit Android. It's just good. Crit's good. If you Cell Chain them and then you swing with this card, they take no advantage in spending a card to stop it. Stout-Hearted Android 16 was our super combo. I was on the fence immensely between this card and the Trunks or the Piccolo or any other super combo. Reason being is that Storm is a really big problem, and it's really hard to defend Deadly Defender outside of King Vegeta Surprise Attack. But then I eventually realized that King Vegeta Surprise Attack is pretty much the only real way you have to go because they'll stop their turn. So that's that. And so with that, I was able to play Stout-Hearted Android 16. I don't regret playing it. It was an absurd card. Android 20 Vial Creator. I played one of this as a tech card to see. Basically what this does is you save this card until Android Super 17 is out. And when you swing, it gives that Android permanent 5k and double strike for turn. So the Super 17 is swinging for 25 double strike critical, and it rips 2 cards from their hand. That is an obscene amount of advantage that they just don't have anymore. This is a card that I probably increase. 2 Newfound Power Son Gohan. Self-Awaken is very important in this deck because you awaken at 4, which can put you behind the tempo of a lot of decks, especially androids if they just drop a bunch of crit strikers. You want to be able to punish them by at least swinging with crit of your own, and vice versa. Being able to take advantage away and get those awakened life cards to your hand. And that's where this last card comes in. Martial Arts Expert, Tien Shenhan. This card is so pivotal against Shenron. Because basically the way Shenron works, it's like, well, I'm just going to play nothing for 3 turns, amass this gigantic hand, and then I'm going to blitz your face off with bombs. That's basically how every Shenron in the deck in the room played. And Tien's like, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to awaken now and get all our cell pieces, because I'm not letting you just have that huge hand. And Tien can whiff his pop effect as long as you get to have those cards. That's what's important. So this card was monumental against Shenron because they will stall you out and then drop their bombs, and then you're sad. So Tien was an excellent card. Also, it was funny to see the look on my opponent's faces when you played it. They're like, people still play that card? And it's like, yeah, dude, I awaken at 4, you awaken at 6. Or, like, you may awaken at 4, but you're about to lose a bunch of cards. So, yeah, time to go minus. For our negates, we played Shocking Death Ball and Full Power Energy. Y6, honestly, it was for Storm. I thought Storm would be more relevant than it was. And I will talk about this more about the field play of what Nats actually looked like. And I was pretty disappointed that I didn't get to play last Storm. But this is basically to keep Storm in check. You play these 6 negates to be like, when energy's open, you're going to run into full power or something, so time to die. And then 1 King Vegeta surprise attack. We teched the 1 of, just because, honestly, Deadly Defender on turn 3, because of the way Cell plays, it's not like androids, you can't play it on turn 2. So, Deadly Defender at turn 3 is not the most viable strategy for the deck to want to play. So there wasn't a call to have multiples of this card in the deck. And we also don't play a lot of blockers either, which is an advantage that androids does get to have. So you can play like a free blocker Krillin after you've awakened, and then leave your energy on top and this card can be live. It's definitely something that I plan on exploring with the android leader. But the final extra card of the deck, and the card that also was absurd, is Cell's Birth. This card is absurd, guys. Cell's Birth reduces the unspecified cost of all cell cards in your deck by 2, and that's all I need to say. Because basically, he or it means that I play the 5-drop for 3, the 3-drop for 2, and then the 7-drop for 5, which is absurd. I mean, like, that's insane. And to be able to play the 5-drop for 3 is just really, really powerful. Like, really, really powerful. Means you brick a lot less. Onto the side deck. Scientist Fu. This was for androids. It actually came up. I played against an android leader, and I killed him in 1 turn after I cell chained him because of this card. Then Mass Saiyan the Mysterious Warrior. This was for Storm. Didn't play against it. And didn't use it. Crisis Crusher Son Goku for Storm. Didn't play against it. Dark Power Black Mass Saiyan. This card was supposed to be against Veggies, which then I found out everyone in the room is teching Planet M2. So, and I also didn't play against any Shenron Veggies, so RIP. Didn't play it. Full Power Energy, sodded this a lot. Just to have extra negates. It was pretty important. And then the last 2 cards were King Vegeta Surprise Attack. Yeah, not a lot needs to explain. It's probably one of the biggest bomb cards to drop against your opponent and surprise all weekend. Some guy like attacked into my Gohan, and then I dropped this card, and then they lost like their Demigar or something like that. It was absurd. So that was my deck profile of Nats. I will get more into a discussion video on the playfield Nats, basically how the deck worked, in the next video. So without further ado, guys, this is Marcus from Team Takeover, signing off.